but not least, Ed Hackett, the catcher, and he'll be batting in the number 9 spot. Bill Swift, 2-0, pitching for Maine, and Kenny Brown for the Connecticut Huskies at 0-1, and this game is about ready to get underway. We'll go over the Connecticut defensive line between pitches. Right now, Kenny Brown, the left-hander, going up against the right-hand hitting Rick Lasher. First pitch, a little bit high, ball 1. For the Huskies out in the field, it'll be Doug Elliott catching, and Kenny Brown pitching at first, Wayne Patton at second, Mark Romoli, Tally Noble at short, and Pete Vincent at third. Called strike 1. And the count goes up to 1 ball and 1 strike. For the Huskies in the outfield, there will be Sean Granger playing left, Tom Rossi at the center field position, and Tim Howland, the right fielder. He's a senior. The 1-1 pitch by Brown, curveball inside corner, strike 2, and the count rolls up to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Huskies having a 1-7 trip down south and losing their first one up north. There's the pitch, ground ball to the right side, is going to go foul, and the count remains at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Rick Lasher this season is hitting .321. He has knocked in 12 runs and owns 1 home run to his credit. Kenny Brown sizing up the pitch. Wind up, swing, a ground ball, a short one up to the second baseman, Mark Romoli. He picks it up, throws on the first base, and there's 1 down here in the top of the first. So Rick Lashua grounds out 4-3, and that'll bring up Kevin Bernier, the first baseman. Bernier is a left-handed hitter, also throws left-handed, 5'8", 180-pound junior out of Hebron, Maine. He has very good speed. He stole 12 bases last season. This season, coming into yesterday's game,
Kevin
Bernier has 7 stolen bases to his credit. He is a career .284 hitter. University of Maine, as we mentioned, 7-8. They went out and played a California road trip. They lost to Fullerton 6-0, Long Beach State twice, 2-0 and 9-2. Lost to Wisconsin 9-5 before picking up their first win versus University of California at Riverside by the score of 2-1. First pitch inside, ball 1. They went on to defeat Wisconsin 14-2, drop 1 to Oral Roberts 5-2, drop 1 to UC Riverside 9-5. His next pitch popped up into shallow left center field. Running over for it is Tom Rossi and Sean Granger, and Rossi makes the catch for 2 down. Then they went on to defeat Tulane 11-6, lost to Southern Cal 12-3. Beat Stanford 7-4, Washington 6-2, Wisconsin 11-2, and lost to Brigham Young 12-3 before coming back and defeating Yale by a score of 11-10 in their northern opener on the road in New Haven. Brad Colton, next batter for the Maine team, he's hitting .235, which is off from last year's production when he hit .438 with 9 home runs and 35 RBIs. First pitch called strike 1.
Harold, Brad Colton was a third-team All-American last year. Obviously, they're looking for some big production from him this year to have to bring up that .235 mark.
Next pitch was a ball, 1 ball and 1 strike. So Kenny Brown starting off very well, retiring the first 2 Maine hitters. Next pitch, high, ball 2. Last year when these 2 teams met up in Orono, Huskies lost 2 games, 5-4 and 13-7. The first one went into 8 innings, and reserve Jim Foley had a 2-out, 2-strike, 2-run HR to win it in the bottom of the 8th. Next pitch, a line in the left field for a base hit. So Brad Cullen, looking to get out of his slump that he has been in, comes up with the first base hit of the game, and he is standing on first base, and that'll bring up the DH, Ed Pickett. Pickett on the year hitting a .372.
Number 26, Ed Pickett.
No home runs and 11 RBIs. He is second in the team in runs batted in.
Colton stroked that ball very nicely to left field there, waited on it beautifully, and hit a solid line drive past Tally Noble at shortstop.
Ed Pickett is a senior, and Kenny Brown was in his windup, but a timeout called by the home plate umpire. And so he'll have to start things up all over again. The umpires are Paul Swartz and Richard Dawley. First pitch low, ball 1 on a fastball. Pickett is nicknamed Poochie, and he has been a 2-year starter. This is the 3rd year he is starting. Last year he had .280 with 6 home runs and 31 RBIs. Low and inside, ball 2. 2 balls and no strikes, 2 outs, man on first. Ken Brown winds and delivers. Called strike 1. That was right over the plate. So the count goes up to 2-1. Very intense rivalry between the University of Connecticut Huskies and the Maine Black Bears. 2-1 pitch, high, ball 3. And Kenny Brown getting behind his man. Brown on the season, 0-1 record, a 6.88 ERA. In 15 2/3 innings, he has allowed 21 hits and 12 earned runs. Next pitch, ground ball to the right side. Mark Romoli picks it up, throws on the first, and the side is retired. So, 4 up, but no runs coming across. And at the end of a half an inning of play, it's Maine 0, and the Connecticut Huskies coming to bat.
UConn errors.
5 of their starters are hitting below 200, and that's an incredible margin. And Coach Andy Baylock says that if things don't start happening soon, there's going to be a lot of changes in the lineup. He's been going with this starting lineup for most of the 10 games right now, but he said look for some changes, and we're going to have
Leading off for UConn in the bottom of the first inning.
some tips that he gave us of who's coming up from JVs that have been playing well, and we might see them playing in this doubleheader either today or the doubleheader tomorrow. Huskies first man up, number 18, Tom Rossi, batting from the right side. He's the center fielder. Rossi hitting 152, one of the 5 starters below 500, but last year he hit a very solid mark. If I can get it out, he hit 352 last season, so they're looking for him to come up and do some damage. Called strike 1, first pitch by Bill Swift. Swift on the season, 2-1 with a 3.37 ERA. Next pitch swung on and missed, strike 2. He has made 3 appearances, allowed 12 hits in 16 innings, 6 earned runs, 11 walks, and 13 strikeouts, so he has been known to be a little bit wild. The 0-2 pitch to Rossi. Swung on, it's a line right up the middle, off the pitcher's glove, coming up with the second baseman Mark Sutton. He throws on the first, and they make the play. I'm not sure if Swift got a hand on it. It looked like he did. But nonetheless, Mark Sutton, the captain, picked up the ball, fired it over to Kevin Bernier, and 1 away here in the bottom of the first inning. Sean Granger, the next Connecticut Husky hitter. He's the left fielder, batting from the left side. Granger hitting 355. Number 1 on the team, Tyler William Patnod for regulars. 11 hits in 31 at-bats. 1 RBI on the season. Huskies have only knocked in 21 runs all season. First pitch outside and low, ball 1. Huskies have been having problems scoring runs, and they've been having problems with their pitching also, as their team ERA is 5.82. Next pitch, ground ball up the right side, but it's going to go foul. And the count evens up at 1 ball and 1 strike. A few fans coming on hand now. It's pretty raw outside. And across the way, we can see the University of Connecticut women's softball team playing a doubleheader versus New Hampshire. They won a doubleheader earlier this week on a no-hitter and a 3-hitter. And they're 2-0 on the season. Wind blowing straight away, center field. 1-1 pitch, ground ball up to right side, right to the first baseman, Kevin Bernier. Steps on the bag, and there are 2 down. So, Bernier unassisted, and the first 2 Huskies come up, and none of them reach it the first base.
2 very weak ground balls the Huskies have hit there. Well, one was sort of a half-liner. They took a couple of hops off the second baseman, but the Huskies have not hit the ball solidly as of yet.
That'll bring up Wayne Patnod. He's also batting left-handed versus the right-handed pitching Bill Swift. Patnod, as we also mentioned earlier, hitting 355 along with Sean Granger. First pitch down low, ball 1. Bill Swift has a nice fastball. We haven't seen much of his off-speed pitches yet. He's been pretty much around the plate so far. Team playing straight away, a little bit shaded towards right field. Next ball outside and low on the off-speed pitch. Ball 2. We mentioned a doubleheader today versus Maine, a doubleheader tomorrow versus Maine. Next game the Huskies will play versus a non-Maine opponent will be Wednesday, when Huskies will play Yale right here at J.O. Christian. Next pitch grounded at the left side, foul. 2 balls and 1 strike. Maine last year having a phenomenal season, going out to the College World Series and finishing number 7 in the nation. Record of 32-14. As we mentioned, they only lost Kevin Buckley, who is a third-team All-American player, and Mike Coots, who is a third baseman. Other than that, the rest of the starting team is on hand, along with most of the starting rotation. 2-1 pitch, outside, ball 3. And Maine also has a sub-500 record, but of course you have to expect that as the Huskies when you're going to go away to California or down to North Carolina. You're playing teams that have been playing for quite some time. They've been outside for a long time, and for Connecticut, Maine to go down south, the first time they're outside is a game-playing situation. They've been practicing indoors for the last couple of months. 3-1 pitch, ground ball up the middle. Mark Sutton goes to his right, picks it up, throws on the first, and the Huskies go down in order 1, 2, 3. So, nothing across in the bottom of the first, and at the end of that, one inning of play, it's Maine 0 and Connecticut 0.
No Maine errors.
The score is 0-0 at the end of one inning. The bottom half of the first inning, we saw Bill Swift keep the Huskies off balance. The Huskies hit 3 weak ground balls. Patnaud and Rossi grounding out to the second baseman, and Sean Granger grounded out to the first baseman, who took the play unassisted. Up in the second inning for Maine will be Mark Sutton, their senior captain second baseman, Pete Adams, the shortstop, and Tom Vandestein, the right fielder. Harold?
That's exactly the way it's going to be. The clouds are starting to get a little bit darker as the wind's starting to pick up, moving towards right field. It is windy, a little raw, and it had been raining a little bit throughout, but Coach Baylock says this field can take up a lot of water. It's one of the best fields in New England, and it is a beautiful field to play at. J.O. Christian Field in Storrs, Connecticut. You're tuned to WHUS Storrs, Connecticut. 91.7 on your FM dial. Harold Dirk along with Ben Palazzo, our engineer Mike Callahan. We'd also like to thank Tom Ward for helping us get on the air this afternoon. First pitch. Line to the second baseman, picking it up is Mark Grimoli, and throwing it high, and is safe at first base as Grimoli took a low hopper. It went off his arm, he picked it up, had a lot of time to throw out Patnaud at first, but he threw it high, and they're going to give an error to Mark Grimoli, and rightly so. So Sutton is on first base on an error, and that'll bring up Pete Adams, the shortstop.
Shortstop number 7, Pete Adams.
Tricky hop for Grimoli there. He really couldn't choose which one he wanted to play because they had about 5 feet in front of him. It was a line drive up until that point, and he hurried his throw a little after bobbling the ball.
The only switch hit on a team is Pete Adams. He's number 7, the shortstop. Batting right-handed versus the lefty. Brown, first pitch down low, ball 1. Adams and Sutton form to what Coach Winkin says, quote, as good as a double play combination I've ever seen, unquote. And Winkin has been in the business for quite some time. 1-0 pitch popped up to the right side. Timmy Havlin going back, now drifting in, calling and making the catch. 4-1 down. So, a smart move by Pete Adams, trying to go to the opposite field, but he couldn't quite get the bat on the ball and make it a grounder. And so he popped it up to Timmy Havlin.
24, Tom Vanetestein.
And there's 1 out. So that's going to bring up Tom Vanetestein, and he's a 2-year starter, hitting .355 last year, 1 home run and 34 RBIs. This year, he's hitting .283, a little bit below his usual production. He's also a lefty. Pitch is high, ball 1. Last year, Vanetestein was all district, only 4 errors all year, and Coach Winkin calls him Maine's own Pete Rose. He's a hustler. 1-0 pitch outside, ball 2. So the count goes up to 2-0 on Vanetestein, with Mark Sutton holding on first base. Two-0 pitch, fouled off the tip of the bat towards the UCONN dugout, and the count goes up to 2 balls and 1 strike. Mark Sutton on first on Grimoli's error. On deck batter is Jeff Paul, the third baseman. Pitch high, ball 3. So Brown behind Vanetestein by the count of 3 balls and 1 strike. Brown looking in. He's at the stretch. Throws, strike 2, just hitting the corner. And Vanetestein thought it might have been a ball. Started walking up the first base line, but he now comes back. 3 balls and 2 strikes, 1 out. Man on first, and Brown runs up the count full. Here's the pitch, and runner's going. Swung on, and a base hit towards the left side. Coming up to pick it up is Sean Granger, and runner holding on second base, but a beautiful play by Vanetestein to hit the ball where Tally Noble was before he went to second to try to cover the play on the steal.
It's exactly how they try to teach you to hit that ball on the hit and run. Just go to the opposite field with the shortstop breaking towards second base with the left hand. And he hit a beautiful line drive right through the hole, and Noble never had a chance of it. Noble probably would have come up with that ball if he had been playing in his normal position, but he had to break to cover second base there.
Wind blowing towards center field. It's Mark Sutton on second, Tom Vanetestein on first, and that'll bring up Jeff Paul, the third baseman. Paul coming in and replacing this season Mike Coots, who hit .319. This year, Paul not playing too bad himself, hitting .333. First pitch, ball 1. He has no home runs and 9 RBIs, batting in the number 8 spot. Ball two. 2 balls and no strike as Kenny Brown seems to be getting behind on a lot of the Maine batters here in the top of the second inning. Paul had his 20th birthday this Thursday. Strike one called on a fastball right across the letters. 2 balls and 1 strike. So there's 2 runners on, there's 1 away, and Paul has a chance to knock in Maine's first run with a runner in scoring position on second. 2-1 pitch, swing on and miss, strike 2. A nice pitch by Kenny Brown. Count evens up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Ed Hackett, the catcher and number 9 man on the totem pole, is on deck. 2-2 pitch, swing on and miss, strike 3, and Kenny Brown chalks up his first strikeout of the afternoon and the second out in this inning.
Paul really didn't get any good cuts off Kenny Brown there. Sort of weak arm.
Catcher number 25, Ed Hackett.
Brown so far has allowed 2 base hits, no walks, and 1 strikeout. Ed Hackett, number 25, he's a right-handed hitter, and he's playing the catcher. Kenny Brown steps off, trying to chase back Mark Sutton, who was on second base, but no one's there to cover, and it was just a little bit of a ploy. Ed Hackett calls strike 1 on him. Hackett this season is hitting 200. And even 2 for 10, as he has not played that much this season. Pitch line in the left field, going back for it is Sean Granger, and he tries to dive, but does not make the catch. 1 runner coming around. Also looking to score is Tom Vandestein, and he's running around, throw to the plate, and it's not in time as 2 runs score for Maine on the opposite field, or the double by Ed Hackett, as he put it into the corner. So 2 runs cross the plate for Maine, and 2 RBIs for Mr. Hackett. The sophomore out of Orono, Maine. That'll bring up the leadoff hitter, Rick Lashua. So Kenny Brown looked like he might get out of it by striking out Jeff Paul for the second out, but Ed Hackett
Rick Lashua
reaches Brown for a double down the left field line, and it's now 2-0. Strike 1 called on Lashua.
Maine showing their overall strength here, coming up with some offense down near the bottom of the lineup.
Next pitch bounces down low. Beautiful save by Doug Yellett from having the ball go all the way to the backstop. Count evens at 1 ball and 1 strike. Brown looks, winds, and delivers, and it's fouled off behind the plate. 1 ball and 2 strikes. For Hackett, those were his first 2 runs batted in this season. And they give Maine a 2-0 lead here in the top of the second inning. Quickly, the Huskies have some men in there warming up in the bullpen. And I believe that's number 27, Bob Ouellette, getting set. Here's the pitch by Brown was fouled off behind the Maine dugout. Count remains at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Ouellette is a junior out of East Hartford, Connecticut. Next pitch in the dirt again, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Another good play by Doug Elliott back there. He's getting some work this inning, trying to keep the Huskies from sending that runner on to third base. On second is Ed Hackett, who just had a double. The 3rd hit given up by Ken Brown. Pitch high, ball 3, 3-2. And I'm sure most of these runs will be unearned on Mark Romoli's error. They would have been out of this inning long ago. Next pitch flying right out to center field. Tom Rossi taking a few steps back, and he makes the catch. But the Huskies give up a few runs. So there were 2 runs, 2 base hits, 1 error, and 1 left on at the end of 1.5 innings of play. It's Maine 2 and the Connecticut Huskies 0.
Needed hitter, and Tally Noble, the shortstop, the 4, 5, and 6 hitters for the Huskies. The Huskies trail in this ball game by a score of 2-0. The Maine Black Bears came up with 2 runs in the top half of this inning. The 2 RBIs came from Ed Hackett, the catcher, with a 2-out double, dropping in Tom Vandestein and Mark Sutton.
After this first game of a doubleheader, the Huskies will play the second game of a doubleheader, and tomorrow another doubleheader versus the same Maine Black Bear team. 4 games in a weekend for both these clubs. Maine on a little bit of a road trip. They played Yale yesterday, defeated them 11-10 in New Haven. Maine has had a pretty tough schedule so far this year. Going out to California, playing 14 games, and now coming back home. Face Yale, Connecticut, and they'll be on the road for 4 more games, a doubleheader at Stonehill on the 9th, and a doubleheader at Holy Cross on the 16th before they finally play their first home game of the year at Vermont versus Vermont, home doubleheader on the 17th. A lot of doubleheaders this year for Maine, all of them coming in a row. They have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 doubleheaders in a row. First pitch to Elliott is drilled into right field. Going back for it is Vandenstein, and he comes up with the play and makes the catch. But he had to do a little bit of running to get a hold of that one. That's the most solid hit the Huskies have had so far today. And then I'll bring up Bill Smith, designated hitter. Smith on the year, one of the 5 starters to hit below 200, batting 188, 6.32.
Bill Smith.
And he has 2 RBIs. First pitch, called strike 1. Huskies have 4 home runs as a team. Bill Fitch, sophomore out of Bridgewater, Connecticut. Tally Noble, Doug Elliott, and Tim Hamlin all have 1 each. The 0-1 count to Smith. Called strike 2. So Smith watches 2 balls right across the plate. That one right at the knees, and they're both fastballs, so Bill Swift might decide to throw an off-speed pitch now that he's up by a count of 0 balls and 2 strikes. Another fastball, low and inside, 1-2. So Swift getting over those fastballs pretty much, except for that last pitch. Huskies are going to have to start swinging that bat. They haven't been swinging a very good bat all year. 234 as a team. Here's a pitch, a line shot in right field. That's going to be a base hit for Bill Smith. Smith rounding first base, and he'll hold those. Vandenstein picks up the ball and fires it in. But the Huskies come up with their first hit off Bill Swift in the first hit of the afternoon, as they have their first run around at first base.
Shortstop number 4, Tally Noble.
Number 4, Tally Noble, the shortstop. After that, on deck, it'll be Tim Havlin and Mark Gramoli. Noble batting right-handed versus the right-handed pitching Bill Swift. There was an experiment a few years ago trying to have him be a switch hitter, but it was labeled a failure. Ball 1 to Noble. Noble hitting very well this year, doing a fine job. He's out of Fairfield, Connecticut, a senior, starting all 4 years here at the shortstop position. He's batting .321 with 1 home run and 2 RBIs. Swift checks runner at first, and the 1-0 pitcher run off and going. It's a strike, and runner slides, and he is out at second. So a beautiful play by Ed Hackett to Pete Adams, the short, and Bill Smith is retired, attempting to steal second base. So 1 ball, 1 strike. The hit and run was on. Noble swung in vain. Did not hit the ball, and Smith was retired at second. 2 outs, the 1-1 pitch, called strike 2. And now things are looking a whole lot nicer for pitcher Bill Smith and the Maine Black Bears. Threat of rain overhead as the clouds are a little bit darker, and it is getting a little colder and windier. Next pitch, ground ball at the right side, and it is a foul ball also. So count remains at 1 ball and 2 strikes. For Maine next inning, it's going to be the 2, 3, and 4 hitters, Kevin Bernier, Brad Colton, and Ed Pickett. And Pickett just threw out Bill Smith on his attempted steal. 1 ball and 2 strikes to the batter, Tally Noble. Bill Smith checks the sign, Wise delivers inside, 2-2. And the wind continuing to blow straightaway center field. 2-2 pitch, swung out and fouled as Noble just stays alive as he just got a piece of it. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Mitch Petrus, the assistant coach, coaching first base. Andy Baylock at his very familiar position, coaching third base. Next pitch, ground ball to the third base side, coming up with his paw. He throws on the first across the diamond. And wait a minute.
I believe they're calling the ball foul here. It must have hit off his foot.
I guess that's exactly what they're going to call a foul ball. Jeff Powell had it right up the third base line, but they're going to say Tally Noble hit the ball with his foot as he was coming away out of the box. And so he would have been retired. Now one of the fastest runners on the Connecticut team. 2 for 3 in stolen bases, but now he has another life. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And Tally Noble swings again and fouls it off. So he's been in there the last 3 times on foul balls. He's trying not to give up very desperately. Huskies so far have 1 hit. Maine Black Bears with 3 hits. 2 runs, 3 hits, 0 errors. For Maine, Connecticut, no runs on 1 hit and 1 error. Mark Romoli coming up with an error last inning. This past inning, ground ball, a line drive right up the middle, make that. And Mark Sutton catches it before it falls on the ground, and there's 3 away. So, Huskies had no runs on 1 base hit, no errors, and none left on
no runs on 1 hit.
Throw out from Ed Hackett to Pete Adams on the attempted steal. So, at the end of 2 full innings of play, it's Maine 2 and Connecticut 0. Thank you very much. We saw at the end of the last inning Paul Tinkham, who was a freshman coming up with the JV team, getting set to pinch hit for Pete Vincent. So we might see some of those changes coming along very shortly. For Maine, it's going to be Jeff Paul, Ed Hackett, and Rick Lashley. And Paul attempts to bunt Bob Ouellette's first pitch, but it is missed. And it is a strike one for Paul. Last night, the UConn Huskies soccer team came up with their awards banquet, and they had Charlie McSpirit and Pedro Brito, the MVP winners. Strike 2 on Paul as he swings and misses. 0-2, a nice off-speed pitch by Bob Ouellette. And the most improved player went to goalkeeper Jim Renahan. A lot of awards given out to the national champion soccer team. And Paul strikes out as Bob Ouellette really had his number on that one. Paul's been up 3 times, and twice he has struck out. So, 1 down here. Top of the 6th inning, and they bring up Ed Hackett. Hackett is 1 for 2. He doubled in 2 runs. So far, the game-winning runs back in the second. And he came up with an error, or he came on base on an error in the 4th. And now we're getting told that it will be Peter Bushway coming into the game and hitting for Ed Hackett. So they're going to bring in some of their substitutes, give some of their regulars a rest. So Bushway coming up for the first time today in the game, and he has a 1-0 count on him. Bushway has played in 8 games, batted 9 times, and he's hitting .444, 4 for 9. And he's a left-handed hitter. 2 balls and no strikes now on Peter Bushway. Bob Ouellette lines, throws, outside, ball 3. 3 balls, no strikes, 1 out is the right-handed pitching of Bob Ouellette going against the left-hander, Peter Bushway. 3-0 pitch called, strike 1, as Bushway was taking all the way. After this will be top of the order, Rick Lashowa will be coming up and seeing what he could do versus Ouellette. 3-1 pitch, it's popped up on the left side. It'll be Sean Granger moving to his right. His hat falls off. Now he moves to his left and makes the play. 2 down on the flyout here in the top of the 6th. So I'll bring up Rick Lashowa. Lashowa is 0 for 3. He grounded out to the second baseman, Mark Romoli, who was the second baseman at the time, flew out to Tom Rossi, and was out on a fielder's choice from Tally Noble to Mark Romoli. Romoli trying to throw to first base, was injured on the play. Batter's interference was called, so both runners were called out, as it was Ed Hackett at the time smashing in to Mark Romoli. Romoli has torn ligaments, and he is on his way to a hospital right now. That could be the end of his season as a Connecticut Husky. Romoli is a junior, so he might be back next year. Of course, this is all premature. We do not know exactly what is going to happen. 1 strike now on Rick Lashowa. Next pitch is a curveball. It didn't curve, high and inside, 1-1. After this game, it'll be Ben Palazzo, along with Mike Callahan, who is our technical director so far, to give you the play-by-play for the second game of the doubleheader. There's the ball. Count goes up to 3 balls and 1 strike. Doubleheader today versus Maine. Doubleheader tomorrow versus Maine. Then the Huskies will be playing Yale at home on Wednesday. Brown will be coming up in next Tuesday for some of the home games here at J.O. Christian. There's a called strike, and I'm going to correct myself. It's now 2-2. The scoreboard had 3-1. Now 2-2. Swung on and missed. Strike 3. So Ouellette picks up 2 strikeouts in the inning, and Maine goes down in order for the first time in this ball game. No runs,
The Maine in the top.
no hits, no errors, and none left on. At the end of 5.5 innings of play, it's Maine 5 and Connecticut 0.
We'd like to remind you that this is only a 7-inning game, so we have to consider this the late innings.
And we're going to have a pinch hitter, Mike Pingree, will be pinch hitting for Pete Vincent. Pingree is a right-handed freshman out of Georgetown, Massachusetts. And if you remember, I said a little bit earlier, he is one of the junior varsity players to come up and play for the varsity in today's game. Right, minor UConn Husky baseball action on WHUS is made possible in part through very generous underwriting grants from the following local establishments: Huskies Restaurant, Subway footlong sandwiches, and Ted's Restaurant. WHUS Sports is subsidized by the undergraduate student government of the University of Connecticut. So in the bottom of the 6th inning, Huskies are running out of time. In today's ball game, they're for the first game of the doubleheader. They are losing 5-0, and Pete Vincent will be the ball player batting for. Mike Pingree will be batting for Pete Vincent. Pingree with his first ever varsity appearance in a Husky uniform and his first ever at bat. Pingree wearing number 3, facing pitcher Bill Swift, who has allowed only 3 hits in this whole ball game. First pitch called, strike 1, down and low. Right at the knees, though. 0-1. Swung on a miss, strike 2. So quickly, Bill Swift on top of the freshman by a count of 0 balls and 2 strikes. Catches a signal, lines, delivers. Strike 3. 3 pitches, 3 strikes. And 1 away here in the bottom of the 6th. And for Bill Swift, that's his 3rd strikeout. Bob Ouellette has 4 strikeouts, and he has pitched 3 innings of play. So Bob Ouellette doing a fine job, only allowing 1 run. It was an earned run, a home run by Ed Pickett. But he's also struck out 4 and not allowed any walks, and he's only allowed 2 base hits.
Seems to me, Harold, that it's getting a little bit colder and a little bit darker out here. It's going to be interesting to see if we do get the second game in. It looks like rain. The sky's like very threatening here.
1 ball and 1 strike quickly for Tom Rossi. The first one was a called strike. The second one was a called ball. And I'm sure that's the only way you could have a ball is a called ball. 1 out here. Swung on a miss now. 1-2 is the count, as it was just tipped and fouled back. For number 18, Tom Rossi. Rossi in the game is 0 for 2. He grounded out to second baseman Mark Sutton in the first and flew out to Brad Colton in the 4th. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Swung on. It's going to be right over the second baseman's head. No, Sutton gets the glove on it. He drops it. It's going to be a base hit. Sutton jumped very high. He thought he was going to have it with no problem. It went off his glove, and it's going to be an error on Sutton. And the Huskies quickly pick up first base runner of the inning. Sutton went to his left. He's a captain. He jumped up high, hit off the bottom of his glove, and just popped out. And I'm sure he just has to laugh at something like that because it was just such an easy play. It looked like it was going to be a little bit tougher, but the ball died as it was going out there, and he just missed it. He just missed it.
I think he just mistimed his leap because he thought the ball was going to get out there a little bit faster than it did, and it probably just hit off the palm of his glove or something.
Right now, the rain is starting to come down, a very light mist. And it looks like the first game of the doubleheader will definitely count, definitely get over. We're just wondering if the second game will be had. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, Mike Hallahan will be coming out to do the honors along with Ben Palazzo for the second game of the doubleheader. 1 out here. Man at first base, and the first pitch to Sean Granger is a called strike 1. Granger grounded out to the first baseman Kevin Bernier in the first inning and struck out back in the 4th, one of the 3 strikeout victims of Bill Swift. Here's the pitch, fly ball to center field. Rick Lashua takes 2 steps back, comes in, now goes way back, and he makes the play. And there are 2 outs as Tom Rossi will have to come back to first base. So 2 down here as that ball was very close to the fence. And if he pulled it, I'm sure it might have gone over the fence. That was close to about the 380, 390 mark in deep left center field.
Number
Ball
25.
seems to be carrying fairly well today here at J.O. Christian. This is, for those of you unfamiliar with the UConn area, this is a very high level as far as altitude goes. And you get a lot of wind here, and it just sort of depends on which way it's blowing on that particular day, whether it's going to be a pitcher's ballpark or a hitter's ballpark.
Wayne Patnod is the batter now. First pitch was a called strike one. Bill Swift, looking at the runner, takes a pitch and fouls it, and the ball's fouled over to UConn dugout. No balls and 2 strikes. It's 340 down the right field line, 340 down the left field line, 405. And straightaway center field where the flagpole and the flag is blowing towards left center. Man on first base, Tom Rossi is his name. Man at the plate, Wayne Patnod. 2 down, 2 strikes, and here's the pitch. Swing, just fouled right over our heads. It's coming straight forward towards us, but luckily we have our own wire in front of us to protect us from getting killed. You're listening to WHUS Storrs, Connecticut, the Sound Alternative, where you can hear baseball every Saturday afternoon throughout the month of April and the first week of May. So always keep that day aside for listening to some radio. Baseball season beginning in the pros this coming weekend, or on Monday, when Cincinnati will play, and another team in the American League is also going to play. Baltimore. Baltimore is going to play. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Tom Rossi on first, Wayne Patnod, the lefty, up versus the righty, Bill Swift. Swift checks to runner first, kicks and throws. Ground ball up the middle. Mark Sutton gets his glove on it, fires over, or just flips it over to Pete Adams, the shortstop, and that is the end of the inning. So, no runs, no base hits. There was 1 error and 1 left on at the end of 6 innings of play. It's Maine 5 and Connecticut 0.
Up this inning, Maine will have the first baseman Bernier, the left fielder Colton, and the designated hitter Ed Pickett scheduled up. We might see some pinch hitters, as we've already seen 1 substitute for Maine.
I'm wondering how much time there is going to be between games of this doubleheader. And one thing I'll tell you is that it probably will not be much time. And we have a substitute into the game and a very familiar name. Mike Pingree was the pinch hitter for Pete Vincent. But coming into the game is Tim, not Jim, but Tim Considine, the brother of Jim Considine, the freshman wearing number 17, playing a familiar place, third base, and he looks a lot like his brother. A little bit smaller in stature, but the same
First baseman number 4.
look around his face. Bob O'Reilly pitching his 4th inning. First pitch off speed, strike 1 to Kevin Bernier. And as I was saying, between games, if there's a lot of time, we might go back to the studio for some music, but if there's not, we'll just keep here at J.O. Christian. Here's a pitch lined in the right field. A base hit. Timmy Howland coming up with it. Firing on to second baseman Kevin Eamon, who flips it over to Tally Noble. And there's no outs here in the top of the 7th. And the first batter is now the first runner for the Maine team. Bring up Brad Colton, who is 2 for 3. Single to left, single to right, and flew out to left fielder Sean Granger. Runner on first with 0 outs, and Bob Ouellette looking in on the side. Ouellette pitching very well so far, only allowing 1 run in 3 innings. He kicks, fires, and it bounces in front of the plate, ball 1. So Bobby might be tiring just a little bit. He should be seeing a lot of action in the coming weeks, as the Huskies are going to be playing a brutal schedule with a lot of games and a lot of days, and they're going to be needing a lot of pitchers. 1 ball, no strikes, 1 out, runner at first. Here's the pitch, swung on and missed. Strike 1. So the count is even at 1-1. As we mentioned a little bit earlier, the UConn women's softball team winning a pair of 1-0 and 2-1. Both no-hitters. One by Kathy Batanti and one by Pat Gigueri, with relief help from Kathy Batanti. Next pitch, line drive into center field, and it's going to be a diving play by Tom Rossi. Is he out? He's hurt, but is he out? We'll see what they're going to call.
Apparently they're calling it a base hit.
Matter of fact, they don't know what they're supposed to call it. They're waiting for them to call an out or a safe. Rossi caught the ball, and he fell on it, and he was hurt. And we think he caught the ball. It was a very weird play, as Rossi was hurt, and he never came up with the ball. Finally, he came up with it. They're going to call him out, and he is out, and they're going to allow the runner to get back to first base, and that's the way they're going to call it. Brad Colton flying out to Tom Rossi. Now Maine's head coach John Winkin not too happy about it. The runner Bernier quickly running back to first base, but an argument by assistant coach Bob Whalen, who's coaching third base. He's yelling at the referee, the umpire. I'm still thinking about basketball.
Beautiful play by Rossi. He came charging in, dived, caught the ball, and landed right with the ball between his shoulder and head area. And he came up purple, was able to hold on to the ball.
Matter of fact, he looked like he was going to be it looked like he jammed his wrist and he was going to be really hurt for a while. He got up and he's going to stay in the game, but he was down for so long, they didn't know whether to call him out or safe. And the man on first base, Kevin Bernier, didn't know what to do. He was running towards second base. He didn't know if he should be tagging up or if he should continue on to third base. It turns out that they called the batter out, and Bernier quickly tried to back to first. So there is now one down, one runner on first, and the man up is Ed Pickett. And Pickett is 1 for 3. He homered his last time up, a brilliant shot over the left field fence about 360 feet away from home plate. Looks like it's number 14, Larry Keogh, warming up for the Huskies now. First pitch, curveball, strike one to Ed Pickett. Keogh might be the starter for game number 2, or he might be looking to relieve Bob Ouellette. So many games this weekend, we're not exactly sure who's going to be warming up for what. Next pitch popped up towards the right side, and in the outfield, shot outfield, Tim Havlin and Tom Rossi going over for it, and Rossi calls off Havlin and makes the play. So Rossi picks up his second putout of the inning. And they are two-way here in the top of the 7th.
Second baseman, number 19, Mark Sutton.
I'll bring up Mark Sutton. Sutton of the game, 0 for 2. Grounded to second baseman Grimoli, who made an error. Walked in the third, struck out, looking in the 5th. And the runner going, here's the pitch. Ball low, and the throw on the second base is not in time as Doug Elliott couldn't get it out of his mitt. So a stolen base for Kevin Bernier, and Maine has a runner in scoring position at second base.
That's the second time that Maine's picked like the best possible pitch to run on Doug Elliott for. 2 curveballs. That one was a little bit low. The other one was in the dirt.
Bob Ouellette throwing high. The count goes up to 2 balls and no strikes. The scoreboard says 3-0, but I don't quite believe that. 2-0 pitch. High, ball 3.
Must be 4-0 now.
Somebody's sleeping in the press box. 3 balls, no strikes, 2 outs to Mark Sutton, runner on second base. Ouellette checks him, kicks, and delivers. Curveball, slow one, grounded right to the third baseman, Considine. Long throw across the diamond, and he makes the play! Considine with a beautiful backhand right along the line, and a long throw to first looked just like his brother Jimmy. So, no runs on 1 hit, no errors, 1 left on. At the end of 6.5 innings of play, it's Maine 5 and Connecticut 0. Okay, we're at the bottom of the 7th inning of play. Peter Bushway, the catcher, threw the ball into the outfield. Doesn't have a very strong arm. It took a couple of bounces before it got to second base. So the Huskies, if they weren't down by 5, might have a chance to run, but they're going to have to scrape for some runs. First pitch to Doug Elliott, called strike 1. It's going to be Elliott, Bill Smith, and Tally Noble. And Smith has been the only batter to really know exactly how to hit Bill Swift. He has 2 out of the 3 UConn base hits. Next pitch swung on, missed, strike 2. So 0-2 quickly for the Connecticut Huskies in the bottom of the 7th inning of play. Huskies having their problems. And here's the 0-2 pitch, swung on and missed, strike 3. So Doug Elliott strikes out for his first time in the game. For Bill Swift, that's his 4th strikeout of the afternoon.
Designated hitter number 20, Bill Smith.
Swift hasn't walked the ball player. Struck out 4 and is allowed 3 base hits. That's going to bring up Bill Smith. Smith has 2 of those 3 base hits. First pitch, called strike 1, as the Huskies are waiting for a strike before they start swinging, especially in late innings. They're looking for some sort of walk, but I'm not sure if Swift can even allow one in this game. Next pitch, low, ball 1. So far in the year, Swift has walked 11 batters in 16 innings, but today he's just pitching a very nice ball game. Here's the 1-1 pitch, popped up behind the plate. Going back for it is Pete Bushway. Bushway now going around in circles, and he misses the ball as the wind plays a few tricks with it. And an added life for Bill Smith. John Kowalski, a freshman left-hander out of West Hartford, Connecticut, is warming up for Maine. I believe he's going to be starting the second game of the doubleheader for the Maine Black Bears. He is a lefty. As we did say, he is the only Connecticut resident on the roster of the Maine Black Bear team. 1-2 pitch now coming to Bill Smith.